That's my face. That's my face when I realized I've been doing a vlog for 20 minutes and I was muted the whole time. Fantastic. Anyway, yes, everything's working now. Okay, so this is going to be a nice long vlog. As you already may have heard, I was talking for 20 minutes before I had to realize that I'd messed up and had to do it again, which is great. Yeah, this is going to be my upcoming predictions for the ESGN Winter LAN. I'm going to be basically going through each of the teams, or at least a lot of the teams that I'm fairly sure or 100% sure are playing, and just talking about strengths, weaknesses, doing some analysis. In general, as a caster, I don't like appearing biased, and I'm certainly going to appear as objective as possible. Some of these teams I know better than others, but just based on my observation of the scene, I'm going to try and break them down as best as I can. So I guess right into it this time again. Again, these teams aren't listed in any order. These were basically as I thought of them. I wrote them down. But as I go through the list, I guess I'll place them in a relative order going into the event. But again, these are all just analysis and predictions. Nothing is ever set. And certainly these teams I'll be mentioning very, very strong and all have a shot at winning. So I'm going to start with Frey, because it's the most obvious team to start with. Fnatic Array, the most dominant team in Australia currently. I'm not going to go and say they're the best, because I don't see the point in saying, oh, you're the best team. But they are certainly the most dominant team, and if any team expects to win this LAN, they have to imagine they're going to fight Frey at one point. Like, you can't be a team going into this LAN and not expect to have to beat Frey to win. Not necessarily in the finals, but you will likely have to face them at some point, because they will do well, and it would be insane if they did poorly. It would be absolutely insane, just because their experience together and their results have been so good. And again, most dominant team in Australia at this point, without a doubt. Like, that's not me being biased, that's just results. So they're a fairly aggressive team. They're very, very coordinated. I've talked to other players and have said that one of the biggest problems when facing Frey is how much experience Heaven's Curse, Kingpin and Doma all have playing together. Just because their team's been together for a while. They've played with almost the same lineup for a very, very long time. And that kind of synergy and coordination really only comes from playing with the same players for a long period of time. It's hard to buy that kind of thing or magically get it. You pretty much have to play and practice together enough. So yeah, that's kind of Frey in a nutshell. I mean, they're a great all-round team. There's very few faults in the way they play. They've got a great amount of aggression. They're very confident in their play, and they've got a great support core. Their jungler and support are fantastic. Kingpin and Domo always do well, and they help their laners shine. And they've got a strong top, a strong mid, and a strong AD. And I don't even think it's worth me saying which one is stronger. If I had to say anything in relation to that, I'd say I'd be picking between their AD and their mid, because I don't know. They're actually using a sub for this this LAN, and I haven't seen him play all that often. Although I know they've been practicing together because they knew Obi couldn't make it from Melbourne to Sydney for this LAN. But yeah, but I couldn't choose between their mid and their bot, because both their AD and their mid are really good. In terms of individual play skill, Domo is their jungler. His buff timing is perfect. I mean, he's just a quintessential jungler. He's constantly kept up with the metagame. His timing is great. His coordination and he makes a lot of decisions and calls in game. Certainly from when I've seen them play live, I should say. And yeah, he's just he's a great player. He keeps his team in check. He always keeps control of the enemy buffs, and the jungle in general. One of the strongest aspects of Frey's play is how well they play in relation to the neutral buffs, so Dragon and Baron, and in relation to their enemy buffs, both red and blue in particular. They've got a great sense of map control. Not only do they tend to play quite well as a team. There's a lot of like 3v3 and 2v2 going on. Not necessarily a counter jungling style, although they can play that way if they play if they want to play like Shyvana or Mundo, even though those junglers have kind of fallen out of favor. They coordinate really well together, and that's, I think, their biggest strength. There's their experience and their coordination, coupled with a very strong team all around. Again, very few faults in any of their lanes. Heavens, of course, is arguably the star player. I'm not sure if he's still the highest elo in Australia. I don't know if he's even still the highest elo on his team, but he was, I think, the highest elo in Australia. He hit 2400, which is amazing for an Australian player. And not only is he one of the best APs in Australia, he's possibly one of the best in the world. Like, not top 10 material, maybe. I mean, what, he was in maybe top 50 in terms of overall solo queue stats with 2400 elo. I actually don't know how many players. I don't know what number is in it. It was easily top 200 or top 100, I think. But he's probably one of the best APs in the world, not just in Australia. He's a very, very good player. He's shown it with his results in solo queue. He grinds games like no one else, by the way. He's played so many games this season, and he played so many last season as well. So he's got a good understanding of lots of different situations that come up in solo queue. And yeah, just a solid mid. He plays almost every champion you can think of AP, and I'm never surprised. I'm no longer sorry. I'm constantly surprised by what he's playing, but I'm also not surprised because it's Heavens, and he just picks almost whatever he wants. It feels like in draft. If there's one thing I could say about Heavens is that he maybe doesn't pick for his team as well as he could, but that used to be when I saw Heavens play, that he would kind of play really offbeat stuff that he wanted to play that maybe didn't mesh as well. But now it seems like he just plays. He picks for himself apparently still. Because it's impossible to get him off a champion if he wants to play it. But the draft in general, overall for Frey, has gotten a lot better since I've seen them play. And I think they're probably the team that I've seen played the most. Certainly they've been around for the longest. Them and Gamecom, two of the teams I've seen play for the longest amount of time. So I'll probably have the most to say about those two guys. Although I've got a fair amount to say about most of the teams I'm talking about as well. Top lane, as I said, a sub for this one. It's STIU will be playing for them. I've literally seen him play one game, and he played fine in that game. He played really well. In terms of exactly how good he is, I don't know, but I'm assuming if Frey are trusting him to sub for them in this tournament, that they're confident in how he plays and with his ability, so I'm just going to trust them. Again, I haven't seen him play enough. I hope to see him play more, but leading into the LAN, I've got 2 more weeks to kind of catch up on his games and see how he plays. But yeah, he's the player I know the least about on the team, and he's the newest player as well, so I don't know if that will hurt them in any way with coordination or synergy, but if they trust in his ability, and they've been playing a lot together as well, obviously they've been training with him leading into the LAN, knowing that we couldn't make it. So I'm assuming he's going to do well, and he seems like a fairly strong player. Down in bot, I think is where a lot of people might think of when they think of Frey. I know people think of Heavens a lot of the time. Personally, I think of their bot lane. Radier and Kingpin on AD and support respectively are very, very strong together. I've seen Kingpin grow as the guy who played nothing but support Malphite and support Rammus to just an incredibly multifaceted support player. And the fact that he has experience with offbeat support champions just shows how much he's played and how into he is into the support role. And he's very into it. He loves his support role. His understanding is great. He knows when to be defensive, knows when to be aggressive, and he always has the team in mind whenever he plays. He'll protect his AD until he dies. He'll ward perfectly. He'll help time and coordinate things. He'll keep track of the minimap and stuff where his laners might be busy farming or concentrating on other things. And his map awareness and his presence in bot is great, and the partnership he has with Radier is fantastic, because you have to remember bot is always a partnership. And speaking of partnerships in bot, we talk about Radier. I've almost never seen Radier make a mistake. In fact, I don't know if I have. I think I've seen Heavens make a mistake. I think I've seen the rest of Frey make a mistake at some point, at one point, at least one. I don't know if I've ever seen Radier mess up. And he is just one of the most solid, one of the most consistent ADs you've seen. And the way he plays really suits Frey's style, because Frey, again, tend to be very aggressive. They really, really jump for a lot of map control. They tend to take an early advantage, or at least stay on par, and then they'll just roll through the mid game, because Radier CS is so good that he'll have that Infinity Edge at the consistent 20-ish minute mark, or consistent 20-minute mark, if not earlier, especially if he gets kills, and he'll just power through the enemy team if you let him. He's a very scary player. He harasses well, he CS as well, and he combines those two things like any really good AD does. Not to say that there aren't any other good ADs in Australia, because that's just not true, but Radier is just consistent and solid. He's exactly what you want in an AD player. He always farms well, he always plays well in lane, and his positioning in teamfights is great. He always shoots the person he needs to. Yeah, and again, he's just always goes for that power build. There's Berserker Greaves, Double Dorans, Vamp Scepter, Infinity Edge, almost without fail on every champion. Maybe an early Zeal, maybe an early Sheen, maybe an early Phage, but he very rarely mixes up his builds. I don't think I've ever seen him go Phantom Dance first on anyone, even Vayne. I don't think so. He could have, but I don't think so. And like Bloodthirster, once in a blue moon, like 1 out of 100 games, maybe he'll go Bloodthirster. But yeah, just a very solid player and a scary dude to have in bot when you've got, again, the experience and coordination of and that core of Heavens, Domo, and Kingpin. Just having a solid AD is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And he is certainly, I think, bottom lane is the toughest lane when you play against Frey. Mid, of course, is hard, and top's good. Again, they're solid around. It's hard to give them a specific weakness, and it's hard to exactly say where they're the strongest. But bot lane's very strong, and I've seen them play a lot, and they always do well. Just consistency, very, very consistent, and that's really important, especially on an AD. Anyway, enough about Frey for now. Moving on to Mindfreak, who were Carnage. So that's Lord Fabulous in the mid on AP, Blaster up in top, Elevate and Zephyrus down the bottom as AD and support, respectively, and Slave of Lord in the jungle. So Mindfreak, I haven't seen them play recently. I saw them play at EastGen, the EastGen in Time LAN in Sydney. Was the last time I saw them play. They, I don't know, seem to not play a lot of ladder games, and I never really see them when they're practicing. So it's hard for me to exactly see what they've been doing recently, but certainly their lineup's been fairly solid. They've had that lineup since in time, except they've traded Teals, who was there, for Zephyrus, who's a very, very strong player. And I know a support that Elevate their AD really respects. And if you have a support that has already worked well with your AD previously, and your AD is confident about that support, you can't ask for anything more when you look for a new support. Like, if you look for a new player in your team, especially in a duo lane, if you have a guy that's already played with your AD, and that your AD really, really respects the support player, I don't really know if you can ask for anything more. Teals left for school, I believe, unfortunately, but Zephyrus has stepped in, and I've played with him as well. He's a great player. Very creative, very assertive. He's just has a really interesting way of thinking about the game. Zephyrus will always come up with really just unique situations, and he'll always handle them. Like, he just knows. It's just crazy what he can do. I've seen him play support LeBlanc, and he just knows what's going on. Like, his understanding of support in bottom lane is very, very strong, and I'm assuming he plays well with Elevate. I actually don't think I've seen them play more than a game or two since moving from Teals, but again, given the history between Elevate and Zephyrus playing together, I feel like their coordination in bot lane is really great. And again, Zephyrus is a very strong support player, so I certainly trust whatever's going on down there. In terms of AD, Elevate, a lot of people know. He's been around forever, by the way. He's been in the scene for so long. He was originally on Mindfreak as an AP. He went to Parallel, then to Carnage, and then, of course, Carnage became Mindfreak, so he's back to Mindfreak. I think he maybe even had one more team change in there as well. He used to be an AP player. I think everyone knew him as the AP mid player. But, of course, Carnage already had an AP mid, so Elevate decided to play AD. When I first found that he was switching to AD, I was skeptical because I feel like there's not that much overlap between AP and AD, so I didn't really see how that was coming across. But Elevate has been the player that, like, no one needs to impress me, but he's impressed me the most, and it's really great to watch him play. He's a really interesting AD player. He seems to like playing ADs that no one really likes playing. Like, he was playing Ezreal when no one was playing Ezreal, and he was playing nothing but Ezreal. He was I mean, everyone plays Graves, but he was playing a lot of Graves, kind of before Graves was like, yeah, we should pick Graves every single game. You know, back when people were still playing Cog and stuff. I don't think I've ever seen him play Cog. I've seen him play Tristana, actually. And just in general, he seems to like playing fairly aggressively in bottom lane. And oh man, he's AD Cannon as well. Jeez, yeah. And I think the aggressive bottom lane is one of the signature things of MF. Yeah, it can get derailed a bit. Like, if you're too aggressive, you end up losing your advantage by losing out on CS. But they seem to have gotten it right, and I'm assuming they're getting that synergy up as the lane approaches. So definitely a fun lane to watch. I love watching their bot lane play, and it's going to be great to see exactly how Elevate and Zephyrus play together in bot. In terms of mid, Lord Fabulous is a fantastic mid player. He's not afraid of any other mid. Like, I know some mids might be afraid of Heavens. Lord Fabulous isn't afraid of anyone. And he's very critical of himself as well. So he's always looking to improve. He's constantly on top of the meta. And he's just Yeah, he was playing AP Soraka before Digantus were, apparently. Like, he rocked it to In Time Land. He just destroyed people with it. And he understands different APs. He understands the lane really well. He's fairly calculated with the way he approaches the lane. And he executes constantly very, very well. So, he's a very strong player for the team. As a captain as well, he anchors them a lot as well, which is great. And just a solid player. Certainly, I hope he mixes it up a little with his AP choices, because he kind of played a little bit too safe last time I saw him play, but it's been maybe 2 months since that LAN, if not more. So, yeah, I'm expecting big things from him, and certainly, if Fabi does well, the rest of the team will do well as well. Moving to top, I guess, Balasta is a player that I've heard about for a while. He's been around for a while as well. I didn't know that much about him, but I've seen him play. He's very good, and he gets a lot of respect from other tops in Australia as well. At least the people I've talked to. He really surprised me. He always mixes it up. He's likes to try and stay ahead of the curve in top lane, and you just see interesting things come from him all the time. I've talked to him as well, like personally, about top, and he just has a great understanding of what's going on, and he's always trying to stay again one step ahead. Assuming they've been keeping up their practice, and I'm sure they have, with so many events coming up. I expect really interesting things from Balasta in top lane, and yeah, I think he'll do well. Slave of Lord, moving on to the jungler. Sorry I didn't have a lot to say about Balasta, because again, I don't know him that well, unfortunately. I can only be as observant as people I've observed. Slave, moving into Slave. Slave is the other guy that I know makes calls in their team. From talking to MF, it's kind of split between Fabi and Slave of Lord in terms of who makes what decision. And the best thing about that is, it might seem weird to have two people making a lot of calls, but they always follow the other one. Like, the other one will never override the other once they make a call. They'll just make it, either of them will make a decision depending on who says what. And that seems to work out well for them. Slave's a incredibly strong tactical player. That dude has incredible game awareness. Just incredible. Last time I saw him play, he was playing only Jungle Riven. I don't know why, but he was only playing Jungle Riven, and he seems to play it a lot still as well. The last game I saw them play on ladder, he was playing Jungle Riven. I'm sure Slave is capable of playing other champions. He's played with Radier as well. He was on their team before he joined MF, on Radier's kind of casual team, just his friends, before Radier joined... Not before Radier joined Frey, but certainly they've been playing before then, and they played together at one of the lands, one of the more casual lands, I guess. One of the Sydney-based lands. It wasn't an interstate one where people flew in and stuff. But yeah, Flavor's been a great player, and I've seen him in particular guiding his team through the game as a jungler, and he's really good at doing it. He's a fantastic leader. Fabi is as well, and I like that they have two strong players leading them through the rest of the game. But Slaverlord's fucking tactical genius, man. He's a mastermind, and I think that holds the team like MF together really well, because MF seems to be a team that is capable of surprising people, not just in, like, they caused a lot of upsets at last in time, and they did, I think, much better than anyone expected them to do. But they just always seem to play really wacky stuff. Like, they've got a really aggressive bot lane, their top lane always mixes it up, and I know their mid's capable of mixing it up too. So, and of course, Jungle Riven wasn't that popular, but Slave loves it. So it seems like the team that will surprise me the most in terms of how they play will probably be MF. MF or Carnage, funnily enough. It's funny because MF were Carnage, if you missed that one. But yeah, and I think with strong leaders, they're capable of winning with potentially unorthodox or less played champions and doing really well. Just in general, they seem to use like solid game knowledge coupled with not gimmick champions, but just by playing things that people might not necessarily be comfortable with, and they execute really well for the most part. There's been times where they've not executed as well, and certainly I think closing games is something they have to work on, which I know they're aware of. But if they stay strong, if they train hard, and if they coordinate well, they are the one team in my mind that will cause a flurry of upsets potentially. Just so many upsets, and I think they're one of the most fun teams to watch. Not only do they play in a really interesting way, but when they win, it's usually very dramatic. So looking forward to casting their games, most certainly. I missed a few too many at the In Time LAN, and everyone came back to me after their rounds and was like, dude, The game was so epic. Why'd you cast the other crappy one? So yeah, hopefully I'll get to a few of their games, and definitely looking forward to see what they can do with this land, because they are very capable. They have so much potential as a team. They've not necessarily proved that yet, but they're one of the younger teams, and I'm looking forward to seeing just how strong they can be and just exactly what they do. Moving down, SQL is the team we're up to next. I believe Hamilton Mattress has left. I heard a rumor. I cannot confirm or deny this yet, but I'm actually just going to go ahead and talk about Hamilton for now, because even if he has left, I have no idea who they've replaced him with. So, not sure about that, unfortunately. Probably should have got that info before this happened, but we'll talk about SQL. For the moment, that's Hamilton Matches on support. Appella on AD. Zergt is playing mid because he always plays under Cardinal, which tilts me. Zergt is playing mid. Man, who's their top? Come on, brain, please work for me. Venom's their jungler, and their top lane is, of course, no, I don't want to look it up. I'll feel so embarrassed if I have to look it up. So I'm gonna remember too right as I click on their name. Apologies, everybody. Oh, of course, man, how did I forget that? Tice is their top laner. How did I forget Tice? That's very, very sad. So yeah, Sequential are... this particular incarnation of Sequential, who were originally Climax Crew quite a while ago now, very, very... Aha! No, I do know who's replacing Hamilton. It's Scream, by the looks of things. I assume he is, because he's listed on their roster. So I guess I'll talk about Scream instead of Hamilton. Sad. But I love Hamilton. So sad. Anyway... alright, players. So, we'll back it up. Okay, so, Tice, I'll start with Tice, because Tice is one of the most well-known players in Australia, possibly for reasons other than being a great player, but he's definitely well-known in the community. He's a great guy, and despite all his silliness, and a fair amount of trolling that he seems to do every now and then, or all the time, in Lola chat, he's a very strong top laner, and if there was anyone who mixed it up, it would be Tice. Not because he seems to play a wide variety of interesting champions, but because he just plays how he feels like it. It very much feels like Tice just does what he wants, and he does it well. He's 2.2, 2.1k elo. One of the highest elo players in Australia. Was one of the first as well, I think, to be that high. He's certainly been 2k for ages, and yeah, he just plays, like, he plays Garen, he plays Rumble, Fiora. Like, I've not seen a player play a stranger variety of champions consistently than I have Tice, and he just makes them work. He seems to love just kind of offbeat, aggressive champions, and he's a force in top. I don't know how limited he is in champion, in terms of how many champs he can play. I'm assuming it's more than the ones I've mentioned, even though I've seen him play those the most. But he's very capable of winning, of beating anyone in top, and very, very, very scary, just because he approaches the game in such a unique way and backs it up with strong game knowledge and strong mechanics as well. So big ups to Tice, who just is kind of a wild card, honestly, in top lane, which is great fun to watch. Venom as the jungler is incredibly solid. He plays fairly aggressive junglers. Like, I think he's fairly well known for his Lee Sin. I've seen him play on Mumu. Who else have I seen him play? I think Shyvana. Venom is a great player. I think other people I've talked to have said maybe he needs to play more jungle champions, but I haven't seen him play enough, unfortunately. But every time I've seen him play, he's done well. And he's a great guy as well. I've talked to him many, many times at LANs. It's going to be great to see him again. And I think just a solid jungle all around. There's, from what I've seen him play, very little wrong with exactly how he rolls. So big fan of Tice. Big fan of Venom, sorry, that's for sure. But it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. Zergt is a player that attracts a lot of flack from the community. He's kind of known for BMing a little bit. Sorry, buddy, you are. But certainly a very solid mid player. His Karthus play that I've seen recently is fantastic. And every time I've seen him play mid, I think I've seen him play RA, I think Cass, a lot of different mids, maybe even Orianna and stuff. But he's a great mid player from what I've seen him play. Very solid, very strong. I think if he can contain a bit of the rage potentially, then he'll probably be do a little bit better. But yeah, Zergt is a great player, and certainly again what I've seen him play has been solid. Appella down in bottom is one of the veterans of the Australian League of Legends scene. He was on the Lola team way back when. He played for Mindfreak, of course, for a very long time before that Mindfreak team disbanded, and of course he joined Sequential after that. Apella is an interesting AD player to me because he seems to play much more farm-oriented than a lot of other ADs, and just in general, I feel like, despite apart from Tice doing crazy things top, Sequential seem to play more for late game than any other team, and that excites me. It's always good to have a team that try and gears up for that CLG style of we're just going to make this game go as late as possible and then win that way. And Apella also plays a lot of different ADs as well. Like he's probably best known for his Tristana, but I think one of the most impressive games I've seen him play was playing Leona Varus in bottom lane, and just they're all to have coordinated really well. They played mostly defensively, mostly passively, but they used their moments, used their opportunities really, really well. And I think if Apella doesn't fall behind in lane, he's always going to be strong in late game. I think he's better in teamfights than he is in lane, from what I've seen him play. But he's a very solid player. He's got a lot of experience, and I think just in general, probably needs to be a bit more confident in his play. But if they can find the right balance in bot lane, especially given that the support's going to be a newer, not a new player, but is a newer addition to the team, then they'll be fine. And again, I love watching SQL play just because they play differently. They don't quite play super aggressively. They Tice kind of tends to play aggressively, but other than that, they seem to have a lot of solid farm, a lot of solid teamwork as well. So looking forward to seeing them play. And of course, last but not least, Scream, I believe, according to the roster on the CG ladder, is joining them on support. He did play for them last time I saw them play. He was playing Janna. He played it very, very well. Scream, who was originally a jungler, is now playing support. I think there's a decent amount of overlap between the utility of a jungler and the utility of a support. So I like Scream support. Again, the one game I saw him play. It's nice to see him playing again. I don't know why Hamilton left or had to leave or whatever, because Hamilton was one of my favourite support players. He was very aggressive, always played like supporterless and crazy stuff. So it was very fun to watch play. I feel like Scream and Apella have known each other for a very long time. They were in Mindfreak together for ages, and I think they've known each other for longer than that because both those guys have been in the scene forever. Scream has been around since beta, and he's consistently been strong. Had a decent, reasonably high elo in seasons 1 and 2 as well. Certainly season 1. I'm not too sure about season 2 because he hasn't been playing as much, but he might have been playing more recently. But assuming Scream is coming along with him, which I believe is correct, I think Scream and Apella work better together in bottom lane than Hamilton and Apella might have, because despite being strong players, I feel like they had polarizing playstyles in bot. And I think Scream, who knows Apella very well, will work a bit better in terms of how they like to play bottom lane. So I expect to see, I think, a little bit more passivity, but a lot of really smart decision making and coordination from them. So definitely, I think as good as Hamilton is, and as much as Scream hasn't played for a while, and I think he's also stepping into a new role, they get enough practice in, they'll be strong, and it's going to be great to see Sequential play because they've just been on fire recently. I mean, they're currently number 1 on CG ladder. They've beaten quite a few teams, and they've been fairly active as well. So good to see them play for sure. And again, their experience will, I think, tell a lot as well because they're a great bunch of players who've been around forever, and their lineup's fairly stable. It's been the same for a while. So that's good. I think Tice is also not currently at uni. I think they're on break, which is good because he'll have time to practice. Because I know one of the things that held Sequential back in the past was having to sub Tice all the time because he was very, very busy with school. But I think he's currently on break, so they have time to practice, which is good. And again, if they practice, looking really solid. I think the more Sequential refine their play, the better their chances of winning. And they're possibly my underdog favorite. Like, I don't know if they'll cause any upsets in terms of, I mean, depends on what you define as an upset. Like, I think people expect MF to not do that well, but they're capable of just pulling off crazy wins. I think Sequential's play is very solid. That if they nail it down and refine it enough, I think they're capable of winning a tournament just on that solid play alone. But they really have to refine it to a point where they're comfortable and their whole team's working well together. So I think how much practice they put in before the event is going to be quite telling of how well they do. Whereas, like, other teams can kind of steal wins by just being aggressive or putting you off guard. I think Sequential's play is as a team is really strong, but they need to refine it. Moving down the list, we've got Carnage coming up, who were Technicity Esports. Kind of exploded onto the scene. Really, really strong team. I hadn't heard of any of these players until I saw them play in the Gaming Jersey tournament, but they came second in that one, and they came second in the following tournament, the MWave 1, Series 1 tournament as well. And yeah, they just kind of picked up the Carnage sponsorship that the new MF had left behind, and they absolutely deserve it. I mean, possibly the youngest pro team definitely around at the moment, and they have the most work to do in terms of teams, just because they are very behind in terms of experience to the other teams, which is no surprise. They're, I think, the newest team. Their early results are very, very promising, and the way they play is awesome. It's so awesome. They're just so aggressive. Like, when they win in spectacular fashion, but I think when they lose, it looks really bad too, which is kind of the balance. To be perfectly honest, they remind me of M5 a lot, just in their relentless aggression. Yeah. The thing that when I talk about like new teams, they're all really strong solo queue players. I've seen them on a lot of streams recently. There were like 3 of them were on Darius' stream yesterday playing, either with or against him. But they were, Darius' stream was on, and they were in his games, 2 or 3 games in a row. They're clearly all very strong solo queue players. But again, I think their experience playing together needs to increase. And if they practice, and they practice really hard, they are capable of plowing through less prepared teams, absolutely dominating them, like just in silly ways. But I feel they need to get a lot of practice in, and they need to refine their style, and possibly learn 1 or 2 as well. I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing aggressively, but I think when you take out key champions from their strategy, they're not as comfortable, and I feel like they need to get more comfortable with other champions as well. And just learn, like, do the aggressive style because it works really well for them, but refine it to a point where it's consistently good. And I mean, that's kind of where M5 are now. They haven't won as much recently, but they're still very strong, and I think Carnage have so much potential. I think MF and Carnage have the most potential out of any team, and they've come the furthest, I think, as teams as well. They've also both those teams have been together for less time than the other 3, well-known teams, being Frey, Gamecom, and Sequential, just as a refresher. But yeah, no, I'm always really excited to watch Carnage play, and I hope they do well. Again, if they can practice hard and refine their style, and I'll probably say this about every team, because every team needs to practice and refine. Like, they've shown me that they are capable of winning, and they're capable of not just winning, but of destroying people, of really, really wrecking teams that you would think they had no chance against. They just need to make sure they do that every single game. But they did famously take a best of 3 off Frey, which hadn't happened in a very long time. And any team that beats a strong as good as any team that beats a team as strong as Frey, being relatively unknown in the scene, deserves your respect. And they've gotten mine. They just need to keep it by consistently performing well. And I haven't seen them play all that much, unfortunately, but I'm hoping to see a lot more of them leading into the game, and I hope they play together, because again, they're all very strong solo queue players. I see them play a lot of solo queue all the time. I feel like they need to make sure they're playing together as a team leading up to the event, and given that it's 2 weeks out now, I think there's no perfect time to just be trying to get scrims with other Aussie teams, playing on the rank 5s ladder, just really churning out games and refining their style. And I think actually all the teams need to be playing together as much as they can, because it's 2 weeks out now. There's lots of events coming up. There's the Gigabyte event coming up, leading up to the LAN. There's lots and lots of training you can do together as a team in tournament setting, and it all kind of culminates in the Winter LAN coming up. So hope to see Carnage practicing, because if they perfect the style they have, they will just destroy teams. Because again, when they win, it's just amazing. It is really, really amazing to watch them play when they win. Moving down to Gamecom, one of the most experienced teams in Australia. I guess I've kind of forgotten to talk about lineups again. Hoodoo. Actually, no, let me back up, because I realized I didn't do that for Carnage. Sorry, I talk about Carnage generally. I want to talk about them as players. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know I'm getting ahead of myself. Should have made more detailed notes. Apologies. Water is so good. Okay, so that was a fairly long spiel about Carnage as a team. Individually, I'll break them down bit by bit. Down in bottom, we've got Alex. Oh, hey Alex. Or Alex. Playing AD. We've got Intrepid down in bot playing support. In mid, we have Liquid Cheese. In top, we have Jack Attack. And in the jungle, we have Rat Roaster. So, in general, I already typified. Sorry, I already kind of classified Carnage's players overall aggressive, and it is. It's very aggressive across the board, and they play really nicely, really coordinated together as well. The interesting thing about Carnage is that they all kind of have their signature champions. I guess, oh no, even Intrepid has a signature champion as a support. They're all fairly aggressive as a team, on the whole. Jack Attack, I think, best known for his Singed, plays a very good Jax as well. And has played, I think, maybe Olaf as well, from what I've seen him play. Again, I'm sure all these players are capable of playing more champions, but these are just what I've seen them play, and the champions I've seen them play very well. So I would certainly call them signature champs. It's hard to evaluate Jack as a player, just because when you play a champion like Singed, he's so different to a lot of other tops, that it's hard to be like, this is how he plays in top. But he's very, very solid. He's, again, a fantastically high-rated solo queue player. And he's just really irritating. I mean, he plays Singed, so of course he's going to be irritating as a player, because he plays Singed all the time. He seems to really give it to his lane a lot of the time. And I think a lot of that probably comes from Rat Roaster as well, who, by the way, plays stupid amounts of aggressive junglers. I've seen him play almost nothing but Lee Sin and Maokai. And maybe Nocturne, maybe Nautilus. But he plays a lot of those champions. He plays a lot of Maokai and a lot of Lee Sin from what I've seen him play. Riven as well, he played a bit of. He loves his Lee. He loves his Maokai. And he's a very aggressive jungler. He reminds me the most of Snoopy from CLG EU than any other jungler does. Although I don't know if I've ever seen him play Alistar, just as an example. But he really pressures the enemy lanes. And he does it very well. He's just a great aggressive jungler, and you have to be very careful when you play like that. And just in general, when you play this as aggressively as this team do, you have to be very careful. Because if it backfires on you, you tend to end up more behind than you were if you were just playing a little bit safer. But I feel like they've got it down. And just the pressure, I mean, the talent of their solo laners, coupled with the pressure that an aggressive jungler puts off, is just great. And Jack and Rat, I've seen them team up a lot, and yeah, whatever lane Carnage are behind in, they're gonna have their jungler pressure the weaker lane. So whether that's top, mid, or bot, expect to see their jungler there, and he will kill you very, very quickly if you let him. So yeah, that's that. Now Liquid Cheese in the mid, of course, his signature champion is undoubtedly Swain. His Swain is ridiculous. He's played multiple hundred Swain games with some absurd win percentage, and that dude kills people with Swain. He kills them good. I've seen him play Swain top as well, and he's just destroyed people. His understanding of that champion is fantastic, and just every little thing he does is great. That being said, people know this, and they've either prepared for the Swain or just straight up banned it in a lot of games. I've seen him play a great TF as well, and certainly the games I've seen Cheese play, again, align with the rest of Carnage's style. They're really aggressive. Really, really aggressive. I don't think I've ever seen Cheese play a Magic Resist rune in his life. I don't think he's ever touched one. I don't think he owns them, in fact. That's how aggressive he is. He's just all AP all the time, and he will relentlessly push into any mid. It's just going to be interesting to see what other aggressive mids he brings out as well. Whether he brings out Cass, brings out maybe an aggressive Karthus, an Annie, like as a more old school champion. Just interested to see what he brings out, because I've seen him play pretty much nothing but TF and Swain. That's pretty much it. And this is partly a product of me not seeing Carnage play all that often, because they pretty much came as an unknown into the scene. But yeah, I'm expecting more from all these players. But I've already seen how strong their signature champs are, so will be interesting to see how that happens. But again, relentless aggression is where we're continuing on. Intrepid plays a ton of Janna as support. Carnage are a team that really value Janna. Play a fair amount of Taric as well, I believe, because everybody loves Taric. But I've certainly Carnage are one of the teams that respect Janna a lot, and I think that's great. I think having a strong Janna player, being confident in that, is a really, really good thing. And Janna's fantastic, especially in like the move speed in any aggressive team is obviously going to be better. Tailwind's just such a strong passive, and Intrepid's really solid. I think he seems to be the calm center of the team, not necessarily leading it, but just keeping everyone motivated, keeping everyone kind of happy and in good spirits, because it seems like Carnage suffer a little bit from that solo queue thing, where you play so much solo queue, you get frustrated with your team, you get frustrated with yourself, and in a team environment you can't afford to do that, just because you're playing with 4 other people and you have to play together as a team to win in any 5v5 situation. In League of Legends you have to play as a team to win, even though you can make plays in solo queue. So with that, I think Intrepid not only contributes a great support to his team, but he just guides his team, and he keeps them focused, and I think that's really great. Hey Alex is an AD as well. His signature champ is most definitely Ashe, although I've seen him play a ton of Graves. If there are 2 champions I think that actually define Carnage in general, it's that they hate Graves and they love Janna, and they've played tons of Graves as well, but certainly Graves is a champion I know multiple members of Carnage have complained about. He's really strong, like I'm not surprised, but expect to see either a very, very solid Ashe kind of tying the team together, because when you have a team that's that aggressive, you really kind of need something to not necessarily to initiate, like not just to initiate, but you kind of need something to, I guess, balance it a bit. Because if you play like Urgot and like Swain really aggressively, and I don't know, some aggressive top like Jax, like a really aggressive Jax, for example, I feel like or Garen. Garen's a good. I don't know if Jack plays Garen, but that's a decent example. I feel like if you go over aggressive, you don't have the opportunity, if it doesn't go as well for you, of kind of playing into the mid and late game. But Alex's Ashe in particular really helps tie his team together. He plays fairly aggressively with it anyway, but his arrows are usually on point, and his Ashe play is very solid, and it really ties his team together. When they're going in, making crazy plays, diving through the enemy jungle, all that stuff, one well-placed arrow or a couple of slows from Ashe can really help control any of the fights that break out. And I think that's really important about Ashe, and something that's not that obvious is her presence in any skirmish is very strong, because her slows and her stun from her arrow is really great at fighting, not only in a 5v5 team setting, but in narrow chokes as well. And Ashe seems to tie together their general comps very well. Again, all these players seem to have signature champions, and I know that they're all capable of playing other champions as well. It remains to be seen what other champions they play. So I'm waiting to see exactly what else they're capable of playing, and again, I hope they practice and refine the style, and find other ways to make their style work. Because if they play the same way, they're going to do really well. They just need to be able to consistently play that style. And it's not that I don't think they're incapable of playing other champions. I just haven't seen them yet, because they seem to like playing champions they're comfortable with, which makes perfect sense. But it's just a case of refining the style as a team, rather than refining your ability as a player. And again, stop solo queuing, guys. Start playing 5v5, because you got 2 weeks. You need to get practice in. And that goes for everyone. That goes for absolutely everyone. Moving down, Team Gamecom, who've actually had a couple of shake-ups recently. Gamecom, one of the longest-standing teams. They were, of course, the team we sent as sequential to WCG in 2011. They've got a lot of experience. They've been together forever, although they have had a couple of lineup changes recently. So, Rusty and Smithy left. If you guys weren't sure, that was their AP mid, and the OP mid who went to support and who left, and then their jungler left as well. He's actually doing commentating, yay! So you'll probably hear or see him, hopefully both, with me at the Winterland, dropping all the knowledge bombs and all that stuff. And Rusty, I don't know if he's gonna get a team together and compete, but I hope he does, because he's a great player. That being said, Gamecom's current lineup is Chief Swiffer in mid. We've got Dale Never Fails up in top, who I believe is currently playing under the ID Brink. Denian down in bottom with Gindenglu, who is back for this event. I don't know if he's back permanently, but I know Gin is back as support for now. And he's played with Denian since the team's been together, so that seems like a fairly good choice, especially if you had to make any choice short notice. And the jungler, of course, is Wombalicious at the moment. There we go. I knew that had stuff happen. So, Gamecom in general, very solid team. Have always been a top contender in tournaments. Have constantly challenged Frey and the other good teams for the best slot. I think for the longest time we're probably considered the best, or like equal best or second best in Australia, but I don't like using terms like that. That's just kind of, I guess, what I feel consensus wise from the community. But Gamecom, their experiences makes them undeniably strong, and they've got, again, a core of 3 players just like Frey have that have been playing together forever. Their support, their AD, and their top have all been playing together forever, absolutely forever. And you can't buy that stuff. You can't earn it. You just have to practice together until it all clicks. In terms of individual skill, Dale is a player that, like Ballasta, and it's funny because both these players kind of talked about each other a little bit, certainly. He always plays funky stuff. He's, again, always trying to stay ahead of it. Likes mixing up top, likes staying ahead of the curve in top lane, because top lane kind of sucks. He's got a I'm not saying top lane sucks, but you know, I guess people get it seems like top players get no good the better of the top, which is fine. Dale's capable of playing a stupidly large amount of champions, just a stupidly large amount. He played like all Lulu in the last LAN, and he's played Lee, he's played Jarvan, he's played Nautilus. I think he's played just a crazy amount of champions, and I'm sure that Gamecom are going to have champions prepared. Certainly Dale will have champions prepared, but I don't think people will consider in top. I think that's a big strength of Dale. Not only is he an experienced player who's very strong mechanically and very strong in his lane, but he's always looking for new things and trying them, and he tests the limits of his lane and the meta of his lane a lot. And I think if Gamecom will do well, it's going to be Dale not only playing very well and executing well, but playing lots of different champions and playing them very, very well. So we'll see how that goes, I suppose. In terms of bottom lane, Ginnigu and Denian again have been playing together forever. Denian is a very scary AD player, a very, very scary AD player. He's very strong, consistently strong, very, very solid. I would say almost as, if not as solid as Radier, and they both have a similar amount of experience. Although I don't know about Elos, I'm not going to get into that because I just don't know. But I know everyone plays solo queue. All the good teams play a lot of solo queue. But Denian, yeah, great player, very solid. CS as well, harass as well, positions very well in team fights, and very much plays carry mode carry at all times. He loves getting big, loves going large, making big plays, and just killing everybody. And you look for Gamecom to stake a lot on their AD and use him once the mid, late, and late game hits to really plow through an enemy and close out a game. And that's for sure. Denian also plays a ton of different ADs as well. I've seen him play everything from like Ashe to Kennen to Ezreal to etc. etc. Urgot too, I think. I don't know if I've ever seen him play Urgot, but I'm sure he's capable of playing it as well. Whereas I've seen Radier play quite a bit of Urgot, just as a comparison. Ginnigu as well, of course, has played support with Denian for the longest time. Ginnigu, another very experienced player, very aware, great support player. Mixes it up quite a bit, capable of playing pretty much any support really, and just I think the experience of those two in bottom lane will make it tough for anyone trying to play against them. It's hard for me to classify how they play because they play a lot of different lanes, but I would say they're just a very balanced bottom lane, a very strong all-round bottom lane. Mid is Chief Swiffer, playing on Gamecom. Swiffer, what I'm seeing him play, is a great mid player. He plays strong in his lane, fairly aggressive, kind of what you like to see in a lot of mids is that aggression, just that ability to not be afraid and go in on people. I haven't seen Swiffer play very much, but when I've seen him play, it's been very impressive. And I don't know if he was on a team before, which is why I haven't seen him play a whole lot. I've seen Womba play quite a bit, but Swiffer suits his role, plays well, always seems to play solid. Very impressed to see exactly what he'll be pulling out at the LAN, that's for sure. Moving to jungle, of course, the newest member of Gamecom is Wombalicious, and I think Womba is probably the best jungler they could have picked up to replace Smithy. I obviously commentate with Smithy a lot. I talk to him a lot. I know him very well. He was a very solid player, great jungler. Mix it up every now and then, but just knew his jungle in and out. And I think, yeah, if you have anyone as close to the level of Smithy, then it's going to be Womba. And I think they play in a fairly similar way. Womba, he loves Shyvana, he loves Lee Sin, he loves Nocturne. I think he loves Mundo too, but I think he loves Shyvana more. Wombalicious is a player I've seen play quite a bit. I've seen him play with his team. He used to be on Mindfreak, of course, before that team disbanded, and we had new Mindfreak. But Womba is just a player who has impressed me most with his ability to lead a team and keep them focused. He's got a great sense of timing. He's very aware of all his lanes at all times and what he can do, what ganks he can achieve. Even though he tends to play less CC-oriented junglers, he plays a lot of decent, like he plays a lot of his jungle pressure is great. He pressures the enemy jungle. His decision making is impeccable in the jungle, and every time I watch him play, I'm always impressed with how he directs his team. He keeps them focused, keeps them energetic, and keeps their spirits up. And I think that's a big part of replacing Smithy, is having someone confident who's willing to make calls, willing to make decisions. Not that the experience of the team as a whole isn't fantastic, because it is, but Womba's a great jungler, and I think his time in Gamecom will be really good for him, because he was a player in Mindfreak who wasn't that well known. I mean, I know he played a lot with Pizzas, who was his teammate on Mindfreak back then, but Womba has made leaps and bounds. Even like if you just look at his elo, he's gained a ton of elo and gotten so much better. Certainly from what I've heard, I didn't know him very well before he joined Mindfreak, and he was already stupidly good. But his ability as a jungler is just great, and his potential, despite not having as much experience as some of the other teams, because pretty much all of MF, Frey and Gamecom have been around for so long. Most of those players have been around forever. I guess Scream and Apella on Sequential as well. Actually, all the Sequential players have been around forever as well. But yeah, Womba's jungling is great, and I think as a team, Gamecom are very scary, and they've always been very good. And I think, I mean, like, I feel like before everything wasn't quite clicking, which makes sense because two of your players left. So for whatever reason, it may not have worked out. I feel like with this new team, Gamecom are very comfortable, and assuming they get comfortable and they practice together, geez, they're going to look really good. So definitely expecting big things from them, and I like the team they've got now. I like their old team as well because I love Rusty. Rusty was my favorite support. But no more Rusty. Hopefully Rusty attends. Please attend, Rusty. We love you. But yeah, Gamecom right now, looking great. I just hope they can live up to the expectations I have for them, because they are high. They are very high, in fact. And I really like where they're going with their team. Moving down. Reborn Gaming, possibly the best amateur team in Australia. Possibly even at the semi-pro level. They're definitely getting there. Reborn are a team that have just looked really good. Looked really, really good. And they've gotten better and better and better. Unfortunately, Habuska left. He was the guy who originally made the team that were Reborn before they were Reborn. He was on Reborn when they were Reborn too, but I can't remember the name of the team. I'm sure Habuska will remind me. Yeah, he made the original team. He was their captain. He's unfortunately left for reasons I am not aware of. But him leaving, which is sad. He was a very solid top player. That being said, the acquisition of Pizzas, from formerly of Mindfreak, then of Next Level Gaming, which disbanded, and now of course playing top for Reborn. Not to say Habuska is bad, but Pizzas is really good. Pizzas is one of those players that has constantly impressed me, and I've talked about top lanes who test the limit of what's available in top. Pizzas just doesn't test it. He straight up just plays it. That dude played, I think, the only hour-and-a-half game I've ever seen or casted as AD Shaker up in top lane. He's played Blitzcrank, he's played Corki, he's played Nocturne, and he's played standard tops as well. Jax, Lee Sin, etc, etc. That dude plays more crazy tops than I've ever seen anyone play. And he's always been a solid player. So as good as Habuska was, I think Pizzas is a little better. And regardless, I think they haven't lost anything at all in the trade. They're certainly at least as good as each other. It's actually I've seen more Pizzas play as well than Habuska. But yeah, a great pickup. I mean, it's sad that Habasco, who originally made and captained Begging for Mercy, that was the name of the team, originally created Begging for Mercy, and then who got themselves as Reborn after they got sponsored. Seeing him leave is very sad, and I think you potentially lose a lot in terms of leadership in that team. So that's something I'm potentially worried about for Reborn, because I don't know who can replace Habasco in that role as captain. But in terms of the player they've replaced him with, I'm confident in Pitts' ability to do well. He's just a crazy man. He's very, very crazy. He tower dives all the time. He loves it. He just loves it. And especially, if you leave him alone and don't pressure his lane as a jungler, he will wreck people's faces. Oh yeah, he's really retardedly good as well, by the way. Oh man, I forgot about the Pitts earlier. Yeah, Pitts is a really, really strong player, and I expect to see him doing well, consistently. I expect to see him doing very well. That's for sure. In terms of the rest of their team, I guess we have Smileyface X in the jungle. We have, oh man, hard to remember stuff sometimes. No, I can't remember the rest of the team. Apologies, guys, as I get to more teams that I've seen play, but not seen play as much as certainly the other teams. It's going to be hard for me to remember them. Apologies. This is why I have my web browser open, so I can look these things up. I got 2 out of X. Wasn't too bad, right? Oh goodness, why has this happened? There we go. This vlog's really long, by the way. Apologies. But I hope you enjoy it. Team Reborn, where are you, my friends? There we are. I'm about 8th on the ladder. Solid stuff. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So the roster on CG is Bartimus, Dean58, Equinox, Ergon Magi, Habasco, Pitsus, and Smiley. I believe their core currently is Smiley, Pitsus, Ergon Magi, Bartimus, and Equinox. Okay. Cool. So Ergon Magi, obviously their mid player, a player who's definitely impressed me. I've seen him play quite a bit on other teams before he joined this one. Ergon Magi, I've seen him play Orianna recently. I've seen him play, I think, Karthus, a lot of different AP champions as well. Ergon's really solid, and I think the fact that he likes to play slightly offbeat champions is a really good sign. Just a really solid mid from what I've seen him play. Very excited to see what else he can bring out in the tournament. And certainly, given that Ori's getting a little bit of a boost this upcoming patch as well, I think if he likes that champion in particular, then that could be a really solid thing for his team. But Ergon, he just seems to set up nicely. He seems to do well in lane and to play well with his team. Certainly, Reborn are the team that need a lot of practice, but they've been getting in a lot of practice as well. They've played tons of ladder. They've been really active on the CG ladder, looking very good even in their losses. And they're not afraid to challenge the top teams. And I think that's a really good sign for any team, is not being afraid, willing to challenge these teams that should be better than you, and just seeing what happens and learning from that. And I'm really, really excited for Reborn, because they could easily, they could win. That to me is not as likely as some other teams, but likely, and I expect them to see them top 4, and that's how good I think they are. And I think that's, for what is essentially an amateur-sponsored team, I think that's a fantastic result. So expecting big things there. Pitts, I've talked about. Equinox, a great support player. Plays really, really solid with Bartimus. Again, they have just a solid bot lane, nothing special. I think their experience compared to, say, Gamecom and Phrase bot lanes is not as good, even compared to like MF's bot lane, or maybe any of the other pro team bot lanes. But they practice up, they get strong, they'll be fine. And yeah, again, solid stuff. And of course, Smiley, a great guy, fantastic guy, seems to play really, really cool champion in the jungle. He played like a ton of Nautilus. He's always on top of that, like he loves Lee Sin as well. It seems to be on top of these aggressive, more gank-oriented junglers. And just in general, the package of Reborn is really solid. And they're a team that I know are getting practice in, and they will get even more in coming up to the event. So I think possibly, like, for some of the top teams, be scared, because if you're not prepared for Reborn, you're in trouble, because they're definitely prepared for you. And the work ethic of this team cannot be understated. It is so good. It is like possibly the best. It's like they probably have the best or second best work ethic I've seen in a while. And I hope that's true. I really do, guys, because I've been seeing you play a lot. and I'm looking forward to seeing exactly how you perform at a major LAN with a slightly different lineup, because they didn't get to play in the last one. And I think this will be I think their first major offline tournament together, and it's going to be a big test for them, a big test, and I expect to see them prepared as well. Uber Gaming, formerly Fragtech Esports, making it out as well. That is, of course, Uber Giant, Uber Giants Bro, and Little Uber Giant, coupled with... oh man, I always remember the Ubers, and I can't remember whoever else plays on that team. Funny stuff. Oh, let me just click this. Yeah, easy. Uber Gaming, Uber Gaming, Uber Gaming, Uber Gaming. Where are you? Whoa, what's going on? Oh, there they are. Number 2 on the ladder. Not bad. Veraxel, of course, and Asian Matty. Asian Matty in top, Veraxel in mid as AP, Uber Giant as support, Uber Giant's Bro as AD, and Little Uber Giant as the jungler. So, first off, they are, I think, the truest semi-pro team in Australia. They're self-described as the top amateur team, and I would say that, except I think they're better than that. I think they're breaking into the professional level, and Uber Gaming have just so much potential. I think one of the biggest things is they've always had to sub, it seems, for one of the Uber brothers, because they're all quite busy. But I believe they're all attending. Every single member of Uber Gaming is attending, and that's awesome, because if you're not aware, the Uber Bros are 3 brothers who are all very high elo. I believe they're all 2K or 2K plus. I think the funny thing is their little brother, Little Uber Giant, is actually the highest elo of all of them, which I know irritates them. But I've spoken a lot about team synergy and how important that is. Having a core of 3 siblings who are all very high elo play together is fantastic. And it's their AD, their carry, and their 2 utility players, their jungler and their support. That's your core. That is a fantastic core for any team, and both Veraxel and Asian Matty are very strong. I think Uber Gaming are just really solid, really solid, and I know both Veraxel. I mean, Asian Matty's impressed me a lot when I've seen him play. Veraxel as well, who I've seen play in a lot of teams, has always impressed me, and I think, just in general, there's no other way for me to describe them as solid. I haven't seen them play enough to give a super accurate description of how exactly they approach the game, but I think the synergy among this team is ridiculous, and they might be the team that really gets the upsets. Like, I don't even think it's that. Like, I think people might be underprepared for them, and I hope they have enough time to practice together and get it all down, because the potential in their lineup is stupidly good, and they're one of those teams that just is a great team. It's not like, oh, they have a really great bot but not a great top, or whatever, stuff like that. I mean, it's hard, I don't really say that about any team, because I think they've all got very strong players. I wouldn't be talking about these teams otherwise. But it's one of these teams that feels like they've got great synergy together, and seeing and this LAN, I think, will be a very big test of just how good their potential is. And I'm hoping that they pick up a sponsor as well. Coming to LAN, I think they're going to do well enough that it'd be stupid for a sponsor, if there's some around, and I'm sure there are, to pick them up. And looking really strong. I'm hoping they're still attending, by the way, because I know that their sponsor had some troubles recently. But definitely looking forward to seeing them play. Definitely looking forward to it. Again, just a super solid team with great synergy, and I'm hoping to see it come out. Hopefully, again, I'll get more of their games in as well as we come in. Moving down the list, we're almost there. 2 more left. Cuties Only, who are now apparently sponsored. They are Mousegasm, which is a fantastic name for a sponsor, by the way. Cuties Only, one of their new teams with quite a few experienced players in them. So let me just run down the roster quickly. I know most of it, but I'm not going to remember all of it, as you may have noticed already. Oh, there we are, Mousegasm Esports. Astrus in mid, Estonian in the jungle, Mark in top, in Eunma, E-U-N-M-A, Eunma, and Erect Gymnast playing support. Very strong team. Have had some decent online results already. Definitely one of the newer teams. Astrus is an incredible APK player. I love watching him play. His decision making is great. His mechanical ability is fantastic, and just he's got a great sense of roam, aggression, when to be passive, when he's getting ganked, and just a lot of really solid things that make an AP mid player. I've seen him make stupidly sweet plays with Ari. I've seen him play ridiculously good Cassiopeia. Like, that era of mid, for me, was where Asterix played really, really well. And of course he's known for Morgana as well. He was always good. I think him leaving Mind Freak, because he was on Mind Freak before, I don't know how long he wasn't playing for. I think he was looking for a team for a while. Asterix to me has fantastic potential, and he's a very strong mid player. And I think from what I've seen of Cutie's play, and it's not that much, Asterix to me is the star of the team. And I think if he does well, his team will do well. Mark, I've seen very little of in top. I think that might even be an ID change, but I think last time I saw him, he played fine. Their bottom lane's quite good. I'm a big fan of Gymnast's support. He's a great support, and the last time I saw their AD play as well, it was really, really good. This is definitely a team that I'm looking forward to watching more of in the upcoming weeks, but not a team I've seen a lot of. I know mostly about Estonian and Astrus. Astrus, of course, played for MF. Stellar AP player. Estonian used to play for Sequential, the team that went to WCG. So clearly has the experience there. Has a very interesting way of going about the jungle. In a lot of games that I saw him play, he seemed to opt for a quick level 3 with double buffs and gank that way. And he just kind of goes for this really interesting, hyper-aggressive style. I think that can work. And it's just how the rest of the team plays in there. And again, I don't know the team well enough to exactly try and see how they're going to play the rest of it. But the foundation of the team is really good. And it's basically a lot of very strong players being led by two very strong experienced players. And if they practice, of course, like all teams have to practice, they could go far, but at the moment they're just a strong amateur team, and I haven't seen them enough yet to think anything other than that. So that's where I'll leave that one. Last but not least, Whale and Sea Friends. I believe all these teams are attending, by the way. I hope they are. Whale and Sea Friends, also known as Monkey and Tree Friends, the winner, of course, of the Gaming Jerseys tournament, the all-amateur tournament. So clearly one of the top amateur teams, if not arguably the top, because they won that tournament. They've got absolutely fantastic. I actually know most of their roster. I should know it all, but I'm going to look it up anyway. Minky Whale, of course, playing mid. Kakarot playing top, one of the most experienced players in Lola. Takashi down bottom playing support. I forgot who their mid was already. Oh man. Oh yeah. Oh, now I remember. Nanotyrant. No, he's not their mid anymore, is he? Where is their mid? Oh, it's Minky. God damn it. Who's their jungler? I can't remember their jungler's name ever. Might be Nanotyrant, actually. Nano. I think. Okay. I'm actually can't remember who their jungler is, which is really irritating. And it seems like they've made a couple of roster changes. But I'll talk about the 4 players I definitely know. Minky in mid, Kak in top, Takeshi down in bot, and Little Brunto down in bot on AD with Takeshi on support. Great team to watch. Very aggressive for the most part, and really solid. Just play fantastically well together. Kakarot, as I said, one of the most experienced players, known for playing, only 2 champions, which I'm sure, which is fine. He seems to play a lot of tanky champions, which is interesting because it seems like not a lot of, he plays like mostly Warwick Malphite, and it seems like not a whole lot of teams play just Warwick Malphite. Like play those tanky types of champions top lane. So, and the reason I like that is because they have a very aggressive mid and a very aggressive AD, and having that kind of front line, that initiator, really helps when you have champions that want to get in there and do tons of damage but are quite fragile. So, I like that a lot about that team. So, and I think there's enough champions you worry about between their mid, their top, and their mid and their bot that you don't necessarily want to ban Kakarot's champions. And I feel like they're always safe for him to pick. So, despite having a roster that apparently is only 2 champions, which I'm sure he can play more of again, I think that works fine for the team, because banning them is just, I don't think, the way to beat that team at all. So, they're pretty much always going to have a fairly solid presence in top. And even if Kak doesn't do that well in lane, his decision making is really good in team fights. And again, he's playing the initiator role. He's very comfortable in that role. And it really helps his team if you're ever comfortable. It really helps any team if you constantly have initiation in your comps and you constantly have someone confident in their role as initiator and tank. So that's Kakarot in a nutshell. Of course, one of the most experienced players, knows the other teams very well. He's been playing forever. I think is completely unnerved in any tournament setting, I'd guess as well, just because he's a veteran. He's an absolute veteran. Minky Whale in the mid, possibly the single most aggressive mid player I've ever seen in my life, ever, full stop. Not kidding. I think in the world, the most aggressive mid I've ever seen is Minky Whale. And I've seen a lot of mids. Minky, of course, known for his Victor, known for his Lux, they're his signature champions. He has shown his competency on other champions as well. Is well known for not only Madrais on Lux, but Deathcap on almost every single champion. If you ever see Minky Whale do anything other than double Doran's Deathcap Silk Shoes, I will probably go nuts, because that would just be very strange to me. Minky's aggression is insane, and I've seen him beat laners that I thought he had no business beating. Zero business beating. Despite his role as an amateur player, he's, I think, come leaps and bounds in terms of solo queue skill as well, but he's very solid. He always stays on top of his opponent in terms of harassment, and his CS is great as well. Like, Minky is one of my favorite players to watch just because of how aggressive he is, and he's just, I think, surprisingly solid. And if you're not prepared for Minky Whale, and if you're not prepared for how aggressive he is, especially when the rest of your team comes in, you're in trouble, because you have to be prepared for Minky Whale, and you can't just ban him out anymore. He plays more than 2 champions, guys. So definitely looking forward to seeing Minky play again and see what he can bring out as well. I mean, I expect him to go to his standbys if they're left open, at least for a few games. But seeing what happens in their draft is really interesting, because Little Bronto is another person known for playing 2 champions very well. Now, if Minky is the most aggressive mid in the world, I think Bronto's probably got to be the most aggressive AD. This dude is the guy who's famous for buying red pots in lane just to win his lane. He's famous for his Graves, he's famous for his Urgot, and he's very, very good. He is one of the best aggressive ADs I've ever seen play, and his elo reflects that. He's very high elo, and he's one of the most solid players in Oz. The aggression for Monkey and for Whale and Sea Friends / Monkey and Tree Friends is really what I think typifies them as a team. Not because their entire team is aggressive like Carnage is, but because they have a solid top, tanky top, Kakarot, and they have their aggressive bot and their aggressive mid. And they really put the pressure on. Cac farms all day on top. He runs teleport too. I've seen him run quite a bit of telly. Comes in to help maybe if he's running telly, but he'll just keep farming, so when they get to the team fights, they have someone to go in to initiate. But their AD and their mid are usually ahead at that point. And I wish I could remember their jungler. I think it might be Access, but I'm not sure. I'm reading down their roster trying to see. I don't think I recognize anyone in particular, but I know they're fine. They're very good jungler. Whoever you are, I'm so sorry. This vlog's getting long too, by the way, and I warned you that it would. But when you have a team putting that much pressure in the solo lanes, you get a lot of control around Dragon, and if you're not prepared for this team, they will overrun you, because both Bronto and Minky play in a way that is just crazy. It's just crazy, and if you're not prepared, again, they will just crush you, because it's not like they just play stupidly aggressive and they die all the time. These guys calculate their aggression very well, and they will constantly pile pressure onto you. And I guess Takeshi coming back as well. A player I've actually played with way back in the day. Fantastic player, fantastic game knowledge and awareness, and a great support player. I've seen him do the all-ward style, get aggressive. He plays very well with Bronto. He seems to not only complement his aggression, but I think probably know what Bronto is trying to do, and I'm not going to say reins him in, because I think it's impossible to rein Bronto, but just is willing to go that step with an AD who is so aggressive. And again, the pressure and bot is just insane, and that's solid play from that team. Sorry again that I kind of lost track of roster members, because again, I'm just looking at the roster. I don't recognize your jungler. Apologies. But yeah, Whale and Sea Friends, very capable of winning. Interesting to see how good they are come LAN altogether, because they played very well online. This tournament's going to be interesting, because I think it's their first time playing with this roster on LAN, although Minky and Cac and Takeshi and their jungler all have a lot of LAN experience. Pronto does as well, actually. So they all do, just playing together as a team online. I don't think they've done yet with the current roster they have. I haven't seen them play in a while, since the amateur tournament. Very interested to see exactly how well they do. I know they've been challenging some of the top teams, which is really good. I don't know if they've won yet. They've fallen a little bit behind on the ladder. I don't think they've been as active, but interested to see where they can go, because they just play wholly uniquely as a team. And whether or not that's enough to beat the top teams is yet to be seen. But again, with practice, I think they can do well. Anyway, that's it for this wrap-up. I have no idea how long this vlog's been. I'm gonna check the time after and be like, that's so long. I'm sorry it's been a long one. I will try and go back through it and timestamp it at some point, but that is a very reasonably in-depth look at exactly what's going on. I know there are other teams playing. I don't have the team list yet. It's not public, I believe, and I don't have it. So I'm assuming all these teams are playing, and if I've missed anyone, I apologize. But to me, those are just none of the teams that not only am I fairly sure are playing, but I've seen play a lot, and then I can give a reasonable amount of analysis on each. So that's it. I guess in overall predictions, if I had to rank, I'm not going to rank them off. I'm not going to do it. I think I've generally talked about the strength and weaknesses of each team, roughly where I put them and stuff. So I'm not going to bother doing a number thing. Maybe later. But yeah, right now I don't like that kind of stuff. I like the analysis and stuff. Predictions, meh. I think all these teams are capable of winning. I think again, I expect Reebok in the top 4 if they play well. I guess that's a prediction. Fine, I'll just do a prediction. No, I'm not. Screw it. I'm not going to do it. Any predictions I made, you can keep those, but I'm not going to do any more. Anyway, I am going to go now, because this has been quite a long vlog, which I also had to redo. Because I dropped myself a meter by mic. Hope you like the hat. It's pretty awesome. I'm done. Bye, guys. Be at East Winter, 14th, 15th of July.